For me, probably the most interesting element of all the training I'm doing with Ollie is that it doesn't actually feel like it's really training. When I was training before, kind of off my own back, or even with the help of Caro, if we wanted to get better at power endurance for doing these sort of longer, more sustained routes, we'd just do longer, more sustained routes outside, or we'd do similar length circuits on our climbing board at home. And what's been really interesting after working with Ollie is that actually I do very, very little of that in my training plan with him. And it might be because when I kind of set it up in the first instant, I told him that I hated that style of training. And I guess when you don't like something, you're probably less likely to do it. You're less likely to maintain that level of discipline of being able to do it, day in, day out. But if it's for that reason or another reason, my actual endurance training or power endurance training is really fun, and it looks more like bouldering and fingerboarding. So we do occasionally we'll do like quite a lot of sessions of sort of repeater work on the fingerboard, and then repeater work with weight, different finger positions, because the finger positions were really crucial for this Arnold project. I needed decent power endurance, but I couldn't just like fall back on my kind of go-to position of like 4-finger half crimp or 4-finger drag. A lot of the holds were really weird, 2-finger and 3-finger half crimps, some monos as well. So we were doing some like fingerboard resistance work in those positions, and then the rest of it was more like just linking boulders in the gym, so keeping the intensity relatively high, and just finding ways to do more and more boulders back to back. So at first it would just be more boulders in a session with rest, and then gradually it'd be decreasing the rest, and then doing doubles in boulders, dropping off the boulder, coming back to the bottom, starting again, and then even down climbing easy stuff, actively resting on the wall, and then doing boulders again. So always keeping the intensity really high, and just slowly allowing, I guess, your body to adapt, which was fun because it felt like I could always try hard. I like that. Well, I like trying hard on moves. I don't like trying hard on effort, if you know what I mean. So when it's just easy moves that are kind of making yourself feel sick from the pump, then I find it hard. If it's a 2-minute exercise of really, really intense circuits or linked boulders, then I can do that.
And did you find that doing exercise in your training that you personally enjoy and get something out of it meant that it's easier for you to return to those sessions?
Definitely.
Second after session, rather than like, oh, this sucks. Why am I hitting my head against the wall?
And there's a few sessions that Ollie makes me do, or he puts in my program that I don't like that much, because of the reason we just mentioned, and they're almost always the sessions that at the end of the week I just haven't quite found the time to do. Training exercise doesn't always have to resemble the actual thing that you're training for it to be successful. You can adapt other exercises and other equipment and still be really really productive. A great example of that was when I was training for Lexicon, the summer gone by, and we were also a new house that we've just bought that we're renovating, and I don't really have any training equipment there, so we just had a fingerboard, and Ollie managed to basically build an entire training program for training for this route, which was going to be based on a significant amount of power endurance on a fingerboard. And I was doing these training sessions. I could see myself getting better at the exercises, but I couldn't help feeling like, okay, I'm just hanging on a fingerboard here. Like in a few weeks, I'm going to go try this potentially really scary, fairly pumpy route. Like I'm not sure I'm going to be ready. And it was great. I got there and I was like really in shape, and I did not expect that. So yeah, even if, so I guess some people probably listen to these things and they say, well, look, these guys, they're pro climbers, they've got loads of time and they've got access to all these amazing facilities. you can actually do a lot with very little if you're motivated, and if you have somebody that knows what they're doing telling you what to do.
It's not a caveat, but sort of a layer to what James just said about you can do a lot with things that may not be sort of ideal tools or methods if you're motivated. And this is a bit, and this part of the equation I'm about to sort of say is something I think professional climbers and people that get to top level are very good at doing, is you can only tend to do this if you find a way of making sure that whatever method you're going to use actually works with your life and the facilities that you have and the time that you have available. So, i.e., in other words, that what you're going to do is really practical and doable, like you'll actually execute on it session after session. You won't just do 2 sessions of it, fail because you hate it, or it's just not possible to travel 47 miles to that climbing wall that has a really good fingerboard or whatever it might be. And that is a particularly like important layer of it. Like James, you doing all your fingerboarding whilst doing a DIY house renovation. That's a perfect example of, it's not ideal, but for you to layer motivation and being psyched for that project of Lexicon on top of something that's practical and able to do.
Exactly.
And I get to watch it from the sort of outside perspective here of, coaching and Lattice and things like that, seeing the huge variety of lifestyles and setups that people have in life, but what they achieve off the back of those, all the way from your full professional climbers to people that actually have pretty intensive, hardcore jobs, families, complicated juggling of life. But all of those that succeed are very, very on it with making sure that things are practical and doable, and not just sort of pipe dream projects, pipe dream training plans that you can't complete on them.
I think consistency really is key. And maybe something else that I'd like to get across to people right now is that also we're really, really lucky to be climbers, to do a sport that's pretty forgiving to an aging body. And that might sound really strange at first, but I've seen this many, many, many times, like throughout the years, especially with older climbers that I really look up to. Because climbing's so complex, the amount of kind of data that you put into your body over the years is worth so much that you can actually, as you get older, you can train far less than you might need to have trained when you're younger to end up with a similar result. And I'm not talking purely physical. Obviously, when you're older, you actually probably physically would need to train more to get to the same physical level as a younger body. But because climbing isn't just about hanging on an edge or doing pull-ups, it's so complex. That small amount of physical development that you can make at an older age really pays so well, because you can then really capitalize on all of the experience and technical ability that you've developed over the years